If you're staring down the LSAT, that logical reasoning section can feel like this impossible maze, right? But what if you had a single master key instead of some ridiculously complex map? Well, today, we are going to unlock a simpler, way more powerful way to conquer it. Okay, let's get into it.
Does this sound familiar? You've got flaw questions, weaken, strengthen, necessary assumption, sufficient assumption. I mean, the list just goes on and on. It's so easy to feel like you have to learn a dozen different strategies for a dozen different questions. It's exhausting.
But trust me, you are so not alone in feeling that way. But the good news, the really good news, is that there's a much more elegant and frankly efficient way to approach this whole section. A way that does not rely on just memorizing a mountain of information.
See, the secret isn't about learning more, it's actually about focusing on less. It all comes down to one single powerful core skill.
So first, let's just get one thing straight. This is not about making a million flashcards for every single question variant you might run into. That approach will just burn you out, and it's not even that effective.
No. Instead, it is all about mastering one fundamental process. Just one skill that unlocks the vast majority of the questions you're ever going to face.
And here it is. This is the whole game right here. See, at the heart of pretty much every argument on the LSAT, there's a logical gap, a flaw. And all those different question types we were just talking about, they're just asking you to look at that exact same flaw from a bunch of different angles.
So the skill is the simple three-step process. For any argument, first you find the conclusion. What's the main point? Second, you find the evidence. What's the support they're giving? And third, and this is the absolute key, you identify the logical gap between them. Ask yourself, why doesn't this evidence perfectly prove that conclusion? That is the flaw.
All right, so that's the theory. But does it actually work in practice? Let's put this core skill to the test and see how it just systematically unlocks the most common argument questions you're going to see.
Let's start with the most direct one, the flaw question. This is beautiful because once you've used our core skill to find that gap in the reasoning, your work is basically done. You just have to scan the answer choices and pick the one that describes the very flaw you already found.
And I really love this way of thinking about it. A flaw question is your chance to look at the argument and kind of say, aha, gotcha, I see the logical leap you made there, I see what you forgot to consider. It's an active, almost detective-like process.
Now, what about weaken questions? You do the same thing, find the flaw, but now you go on the attack. You're looking for the answer choice that exploits that weakness, that drives a wedge right into that gap and makes the conclusion look a whole lot less convincing.
And as you'd probably guess, strengthen questions are the exact opposite. You find the flaw, but this time you're not attacking it, you're fixing it. You're looking for the answer choice that's like a patch, something that helps bridge that gap and makes the conclusion stronger.
A sufficient assumption question. Well, this takes strengthening to a whole new level. You're not just looking for a little patch, you're looking for a massive, steel-reinforced bridge. An idea so powerful that if you add it in, it completely fills the gap and makes the argument 100% airtight.
And finally, we've got necessary assumption. Now this one's a little more subtle. You're not looking for something that guarantees the conclusion. Instead, you're looking for something the author had to believe for the argument to even stand a chance. It's the one piece that, if it's not true, the whole argument just crumbles.
Okay, so that covers the main argument-based questions, the ones where you're really interacting with the flaw. But what about the other types, the ones that feel a little different? Well, they might not ask about a flaw by name, but they rely on the exact same core analytical skill, just breaking down a situation and understanding how its pieces fit together.
So you've got paradox questions. They give you two facts that seem completely contradict each other. It just feels weird. Your job is simply to find that new piece of information in the answers that makes it all make sense, that explains how both of those weird things can be true at the same time. You're just resolving the weirdness.
For point-at-issue questions, you're basically a referee between two people talking. All you have to do is find the one specific statement where you can prove one person would say, yes, I agree with that, and the other person would say, no, I disagree with that. It's that clear, yes versus no. Then there's most strongly supported. You can think of this as a test of just pure deduction. They give you a set of facts, and your only job is to find the one conclusion among the answer choices that logically follows from what they've told you. Nothing more, nothing less. And on the flip side, of course, you have must be false. Here, you're hunting for the one answer choice that absolutely cannot be true if everything they told you in the little paragraph is true. It's the one choice that creates a total, direct contradiction.
So you see, when you put it all together like this, it's not just some random collection of question types. It's a coherent system. It's a system that can be tackled with a single, focused toolkit.
So let's bring it all back to this central idea. If you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Stop trying to memorize a dozen different question types. Please. Instead, master that one skill of dissecting arguments into conclusion, evidence, and flaw. That skill is the engine that is going to power you through this entire section.
By focusing on this core skill, you've basically turned a dozen confusing, intimidating problems into one single, manageable puzzle. You now have a powerful and simplified toolkit to approach logical reasoning, not with anxiety, but with real, genuine confidence. And you know, this way of thinking really goes beyond just test prep. It's about finding the fundamental principle underneath any complex system. So I'll leave you with this thought. Now that you've seen how to simplify this challenge, what problem will you simplify next?